Last year, we saw Lauri Markkanen take a huge leap forward, going from averaging about 15 points a game and 6 rebounds a game, all the way up to 26 points a game and 9 rebounds a game. And every year during the offseason, almost everyone has the same question about who's going to be the next breakout player. Who's going to take a huge leap forward and win the Most Improved Player of the Year award? Well, that's basically what we're going to cover today. I got about 3.5 players, really 2 players that are candidates for MIP, but we're going to go over 3.5 players real quick. Before we get started, I want to welcome everyone back who's been with the channel. If you're new, consider subscribing, commenting, liking, all that good stuff. Do a lot of good stuff here. We talk about basketball. We have some conversations down in the comments. And I got a lot of things planned for this rest of this off season. It's been a little bit of a rough patch. I haven't been on that grind, but we're about to get back. I have a lot of things in the work. And without further ado, we can jump right into it. So the reason I said 3.5 players is because I have 4 players in total. But 2 of these players are very homer pick, right? Not gonna deny that at all, right? And that's Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. These 2 players, I think, are gonna surprise a lot of people. They're really good players, right? Everyone in the NBA is a really good player. They're the top 450 basketball players in the world. But I think these are 2 players that the Mavs basically said, hey, there are untouchables, right? There's Luka, obviously, of course, Kyrie, right? The superstars. But besides that, our 2 untouchable players are Josh Green and Jaden Hardy. And that's for good reason. And if you go on Twitter, I don't know about Reddit because I don't really go on Reddit as much as I do Twitter. But if you go through NBA Twitter, everyone's kind of clowning the Mavs like, oh, what are these 2 pieces going to do? And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year because they're really good players, like I keep saying, right? I think the Mavs are going to win a lot more games. I think they're going to have good I think these 2 are going to have really good breakout seasons. Last year in Jaden Hardy, first season in the NBA, in games he started, I think he was averaging like 20 minutes a game. Or games he had like 15 minutes a game, he was averaging like 20 points a game, right? But the thing is, we were not given that full display. And on the other side of that, Josh Green's been in the league for a little while, and you see his development, right? His development coming from the league, being kind of a project player, now turning into a really good 3-and-D player. And he's someone who still has a lot of improvement, but I think he's a player that's going to surprise a lot of people. He's a really good role player in this league, and he has a lot of room for growth. And I don't think these 2 are players that are going to be MIP candidates. They're kind of just players that I wanted to talk about because I really like them. I think Jaden Hardy can easily fit into that Spencer Dinwiddie role that we had 2 seasons ago with Luka, JB, and Dinwiddie. I think he can easily be that great scoring 3rd option. The only thing is now, is Jason Kidd going to let him flourish in the system? The next player I want to talk about is John Collins. After the past 3 years of John Collins being on the trade market, he finally gets traded to the Utah Jazz for Rudy Gay and a 2nd-round pick. Now, a lot of Atlanta fans were kind of hurt about this, and they should be. John Collins is also another player who was really good for y'all, right? 2-3 seasons ago when they were, when they made that run to the conference finals, John Collins was a huge reason for that. I'm not going to say he was the only reason. Of course, you had Trae Young. You had a lot of good players, right? You had a lot of players step up in that playoff run. But John Collins was a monster in those playoffs. And he's fallen off in terms of shooting quite a bit, right? The 2019, 2020, and 2020 and 2021 season, his shooting splits were 58% and 40% from field goal and 3. And then the next season was 55 and 39. Not something to worry about, right? Especially that 3-point percentage basically still being at 40%. But that, I believe, is when the finger injury happened. And his shooting splits after that went down to 52% from the field and 36 from 3. Still not terrible, right? You expected him to come back after that. One season with the injured finger, right? It makes sense. It happens, right? It's basketball. But the last season, he averaged 50% from the field and 29% from 3. And this is on about 4 or 5 attempts a game. This is not like a 1 attempt, half attempt a game type of player. This is a player who takes a lot of threes. And I think we might be past the time where we can say it's about his finger, right? It could still be about his finger injury, especially if you look up online how bad his finger looks. You can see that his finger is still swollen. It's huge still. Like, right? It looks like a big toe. That's what it looks like. That's how huge it is still. And if you don't believe me, look it up, right? And with that injury, it's definitely gonna be hard to shoot. And I don't think I'm at that point where I can be like, hey, this player might be able to now come back and be again a 40% 3-point shooter and average like 20 points a game like he was before. I think he was averaging like 22 and then 17, right? I don't know if that's going to happen. But in a new system where you saw Atlanta, there was a bunch of dysfunction there. I think this is the season where we might. I'm not gonna say it's a make or break season for John Collins. He's still relatively young. I think he's about 26 years old. He's still relatively young, and this Utah Jazz team, I think it's one of the best places for him to flourish, just for the fact that they play a lot like a college team, in the sense that they don't really have just one player, taking 20 shots. You do have that with Lauri Markkanen, but just the flow of the game where whoever's going is, going to get the ball. Whoever gets the open look, they're going to get the shot. They have a lot of good ball movement. They're just a really good system, and I think John Collins can really flourish in that system. Now, before we talk about our last player, I want to go over some shooting splits for Buddy Hield and Miles Turner. Buddy Hield 2 seasons ago averaged 18 points a game, but he shot 44% from the field and 36% from 3. Not bad, still solid. But last season, his points per game did go down to 16 points a game, but his field goal percentage was 45%, and his 3-point percentage went all the way up to 42%. And yeah, sure, you can say he's had an up and down career. You can't say it's all on Tyrese Halliburton for the reason, he kind of had a really consistently good shooting season. But then I also want to look at Miles Turner. Miles Turner 2 seasons ago averaged 13 points a game on 50% from the field and 33% from 3. Last year, with Tyrese Halliburton being the full-time point guard, he averaged 18 points a game. That's 7 points per game jump. And a lot of it is due to the efficiency. His efficiency went up from 50 all the way to 54%, basically 55% from the field and 37% from 3. Now, maybe you can say it's not just Tyrese Halliburton doing this, but I think he plays a huge role for these 2 players, having this big of a jump. I think if you go through all the players, you're going to see that all the players kind of had a better season last year compared to 2 years ago where they were without Tyrese Halliburton. And if you guess who the next player is, it's Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin in 2021 to 2022 season averaged 27-3 in the 10 games without Julius Randle. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like he's going to do that again. He might be able to, but I don't. That's probably not going to happen. The depth chart just, isn't there for him. Tyrese is obviously going to be the number 1 option. Then you got Buddy Hield and Ben Mathurin, and you still got Miles Turner there. I don't think he might be able to. I just don't think it's realistic to put these expectations on him. But I just think with the addition of Tyrese Halliburton, who you saw last season, they were in, I think, the 5th or 6th seed before he went down for 2-3 weeks, and they just couldn't get back into the playoffs. But they were a solid team while he was there. They were a playoff team while he was there. And as soon as he went down, they all fall apart. Bending Mathurin, a lot of people don't realize that whenever he started kind of falling off, it was because Tyrese was gone. Right? You saw his shooting splits go down. Of course, a lot of it is also going to be due to the fact that he was a rookie, and rookies have slumps, right? Not going to sit around here and pretend like he didn't have that either. But I think Tyrese plays a huge role in that. I think he can do the same for Obi Toppin. I think this is also a really fast-paced team. They love to run the ball. And everyone's seen that Instagram clip of Obi Toppin running suicides on the court, going from one side, getting someone missing a shot, then running back to the other side, going for a block, and then running right back on offense. And then doing that. He does that every game. Right, he just puts in cardio. Really, that's what he is. He's a high motor player. I think he's gonna fit really well alongside Tyrese Halliburton, and I think that he's really gonna surprise a lot of people. I'm not saying he's gonna be an all-star, gonna average 25 a game. I'm not putting those type of expectations on him. I don't think that's fair to him. But I think he's gonna be a really good player. I think he's gonna show out. A lot of people are gonna know his name next season. Besides, New York and Pacer fans. I think that this is the season that the Pacers make the playoffs. I'm really high on them. If you've seen the podcast, a lot of my opinions go on the podcast just because, we do that weekly and it's like an hour and a half long or hour-ish long every week. So a lot of my opinions end up going on there, but on there, I said my biggest buy for next season is the Indiana Pacers. It's not all just because of Obi Toppin. I think this is going to be a really great team, but Obi Toppin plays a huge role in that. I think him and Halliburton are going to have amazing synergy. You can already see Halliburton is already excited. If you look at any of his interviews, he is, just constantly mentioning about how excited he is to play with him. He tweeted out he's going to feel like Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, saying, F it, Tyreek is down there somewhere. He's going to be like, F it, Obi is up there somewhere. I think Obi Toppin, high motor guy, really athletic player. I think he's going to fit really well with this team. He's going to run the ball. They're going to be one of the fastest teams in the NBA, possibly. I'm saying that without any stats backed up because I'm genuinely excited for this team. I think, obviously I'm a Mavs fan, but I think the Pacers might end up being my secondary team, the team that I end up watching the most besides the Mavs. And that's because this team has a lot going for it. If you guys don't agree with me, if you guys think it's someone else, if you guys do agree with me, regardless of what it is, I want y'all to comment down below. Let me know y'all thoughts and opinions. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Peace.